This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Thursday. Hopefully it's going to be a smooth sailing news day. We've had a very rocky last few weeks. I just want a normal news day where we just do cop shootings and murders in court. That's all. Should be one of those tonight. Good evening. Welcome. Torchy. Ronan. Oh, hey. So, it depends on what you mean by positively. The way I use it makes it sound like Matt Walsh is speaking positively about me. But if you go back and watch the clip, he's being very derogatory towards me. I love it. And I swear I had so there was this radio host I used to work with in Alabama. He was a right-wing radio host. He thought he was going to be big, and he didn't make it. He tried to make the push during the Trump years. So he hears the audio of Matt Walsh calling me a formidable voice in the culture. And he's like, I want to hear the original. I don't think Matt Walsh said that about you. And I linked him to the original video. And he got back to me. He's like, Matt Walsh is making fun of you. And I'm like, really? I was making fun of Matt Walsh. Are you dumb, motherfucker? Really? I took Matt Walsh making fun of me and repackaged it for my own purposes. Really? It's called the Troll Patrol. Yeah, I love it. It's on my YouTube trailer. And it's almost like Matt Walsh is, because he's reading the description of the show for his audience. But it sounds like he's introducing me, and it's fantastic. I love it. The Daily Wire doesn't engage me anymore. Because one time, Jeremy Boring retweeted me. It was like, damn, I love the internet. And he meant it mocking. But then I retweeted him. Because it was also a video of me, I think it was mocking the, was it Jeremy's Razors or whatever it was that they came out with? And then, okay, so they were hiring for people, and I applied multiple times to work at the Daily Wire. And every time I applied, I used my my YouTube trailer, and I'm like, Matt Walsh called me a formidable voice in the culture. Jeremy Boring retweeted me and said, damn, I love the internet. Warlord, I am not excited about the news out of El Paso because here's the thing. At this point in time, Mexican cartel leader, that's kind of, it's like Al Qaeda leader. Like we take out one, another one just steps. It's just a, fucking A. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. To the cause. I am so close. I am so close to being able to cash out on YouTube. Twitch pays me every month. YouTube, I am like this close to being able to cash out on. Get me over that $100 and I can cash out my YouTube. Get that sweet Google money. Libertad, DJ Dub D. Good evening. Llama. A cartel is an ecosystem, not a machine. Fantastic description. Let me hit you with your meme of the day. 4 plus 5 equals 9. We're going to do a little numerology here. 4 plus 7 equals 11. Now, I did not check the math on this one. But I do believe 4547 equals 9/11. Which means Trump did 9/11. Confirmed. But you can let me know if the math doesn't check out.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
I feel like this is the first time we finding out what that news be doing in quite some time. This is the first regular show we've had. We've been inundated with the RNC and a whole bunch of bullshit. Tonight we're going to talk about bears and cocaine sharks, and the hot Tuah girl wants to fight Jojo Siwa. Oprah and Gayle King say they're not gay. Keith D is saying that P. Diddy was in on the assassination of Tupac. We've got video of a boat exploding on Lake Michigan. A teen has been arrested in Washington, D.C. for just randomly hitting women. We did the story of a woman who assaulted or killed another woman, not assaulted, murdered another woman with a samurai sword. She has been arrested. I didn't know she wasn't arrested at the time. Apparently the woman she killed was her wife. Video of a bus slamming into a Burger Bing in Bronx. A teen took a bullet for his mom. Then bystanders were able to save the teen in just a wild incident that unfolded in Houston. The state Supreme Court has blocked the release of an innocent man who had been exonerated. We have a police shooting happening in Dallas. We're going to look over the record of the cop who shot Sonia Massey in her house over a pot of boiling water. We watched that video the other day. A Chicago lieutenant has been relieved of duty following video of him not being very officerly. Cop in Uvalde has pleaded not guilty to charges that he failed to act to save children. Wild story coming out of Alaska. Apparently we have intercepted both Russian and Chinese fighter jets. A North Korean man blackmailed a Kansas hospital. We're going to talk about the fake blood used to protest Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as hear from the vice president about going forward with the state of Gaza. Trump tells his audience not to vote. Governor Andy Beshear is apologizing to J.D. Vance. A video of a deadly explosion at a Jose Cuervo plant, and an arrest was made in North Texas. Dude had all kinds of explosive devices. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol. Live. Welcome, Lenny, my friend. Enjoy your Hebrew class. I've been making a video. Been making videos for a pastor who's been doing like this. He's got like these letters. He's been studying the letters from Paul or Saul of the Tarsus, whatever the fuck. It seems kind of interesting. I haven't dug into it anymore. It's not like I'm gonna watch his fucking video. Huevo instantly makes you vomit. Interesting. Have you gotten sick on it before? I haven't had Huevo in, God, probably since I was in high school. I would always get, and also I thought Mezcal was a brand. I always thought I was getting a brand of Mezcal tequila. Apparently it is not a brand, it's a type of tequila. Found that out here on the stream. So like, I haven't had Jose since I found out what Mezcal was. Yeah, it's apparently not a brand, it's a type. But I always preferred it to like Jose Cuervo or whatever the other, name brand shit the kids would have back in the day. Lady B head mod? Is Lady B head mod over on YouTube? Are you not head mod on YouTube, Libertad? If you weren't head mod over on YouTube, I'll head over there and make you mod right now. Warlord's the head mod on both, I do believe. He'll pop over there and put somebody in their place on YouTube. All right, I instituted a new rule 10 minutes in. We're starting the news. It used to be 20. You can do a whole TV show in 22 minutes, so I thought it was weird that this show doesn't even get started until 20 minutes in, so instituted the new rule 10 minutes in. We find out what that news be doing. NORAD, working with the Canadian government to intercept Russian and Chinese bombers near Alaska. This doesn't sound good.
The North American Aerospace Defense Command, also known as
Sassy, good evening,
says it intercepted 2 Russian and 2 Chinese bombers flying near Alaska. The intercept was carried out by U.S. and Canadian fighter jets. NORAD says the bombers remained in international airspace and were not seen as a threat. China and Russia have confirmed that they had conducted a joint air patrol over the Bering Sea, which divides Russia and Alaska. NORAD says it will continue to monitor competitor activity near North America and meet, quote, presence with presence.
This was not a surprise to us. We closely monitored these aircraft, tracked the aircraft, intercepted the aircraft, and which demonstrates that our forces are at the ready all the time, and we have very good surveillance capabilities. And this is the first time that we've seen these two countries fly together. They didn't enter our airspace. I think the closest point of approach was about 200 miles off of our coast. So
now this is something China is known to do a lot. They'll like get over. It's what Maynard does here in the living room. He'll like make the rounds. And he won't be in any of the other cats' personal spaces, but he'll get as absolutely close to them as he can, just to see if they'll do anything. And China does that to Taiwan. China does that to Mongolia. China does it to everybody. Patrol and poke.
That we track very closely. We're able to intercept, and if it happens again, if there's any kind of challenge from any direction, I have every confidence that Northcom and NORAD will be at the ready and will be able to intercept. In terms of the relationship between Russia and China, this is a relationship that
Sparkles
have been concerned about.
Battle opossum.
Mostly because we're concerned about China providing support to Russia's illegal and unnecessary war in Ukraine. And we've seen evidence of that, and we would hope that that would cease going forward. We'll see what happens and how this relationship continues to develop.
Socialist on.
We will remain focused on protecting the homeland here, and again, I applaud the efforts of Northcom and our great airmen who are always at the ready. As to whether or not our adversaries are testing us at this particular time, they're always testing us, and that's no surprise to any of us. We see activity in the north on a number of occasions, and we are always at the ready.
Clinically, good evening.
That activity.
Once again, the NORAD and what NORCOM, is that what the Canadian one was called? I'd never heard the name before. Intercepted Russian and Chinese bombers near Alaska. And I happen to think those kinds of exercises are just going to get more frequent as global warming continues to accelerate, and the Bering Strait, that area, the frigid north, they were just saying hi. That's all. You're right, Sparkles. They just came here to say hi to us. As that area melts and it becomes a plausible shipping route, the dynamics of the world change drastically because Russia is going to claim ownership pretty much the entire Arctic. Move from one adversary to another. Being friendly ain't a crime. I don't know if this guy was being friendly, though. North Korean man has been charged after allegedly trying to blackmail a Kansas hospital.
The U.S. State Department is offering up to $10 million for information that helps them find the people behind what it calls malicious cyber activities against the U.S.
KSHB 41 News reporter Lily O'Shea Becker was there for today's announcement in Kansas City, Kansas, and breaks down this case.
The U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas announced Thursday a federal grand jury indicted a North Korean national on Wednesday for his alleged involvement in a conspiracy to hack and extort multiple U.S. hospitals, including one in Kansas.
If he's a North Korean national, does that mean they sent him here? That he was here in the U.S. on orders of North Korea? Is that what they mean by that?
Kansas.
Rim John Hyuk has been charged with one count.
Rim Job Hoyek over here. Would they call him a national if he's just from North Korea? Because if he would be like an expat if he fled from North Korea, and that's the only way you're going to be outside of North Korea, right? Let's go back here. Let's see if we can get caught up on what Rim John Hoek has been doing.
The U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas announced Thursday a federal grand jury indicted a North Korean national on Wednesday for his alleged involvement in a conspiracy to hack and extort multiple U.S. hospitals, including one in Kansas.
Rim John Hyuk has been charged with one count of conspiracy and one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Rim allegedly worked on behalf of the North Korean government's military intelligence agency. U.S. Attorney for the District of Kansas, Kate Brubacher, announced the charges.
The malware encrypted 4 of the hospital's computer servers, affecting medical services and patient appointments, and putting at risk the health.
Libertad makes a very good point. They charge him as a spy if he was working for North Korea. I'm just like, I don't understand how you can. If you are here, I don't think you're still a citizen of North Korea, are you? I don't think they look kindly upon that. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Energy Flow, good evening. Hawk Tuah is challenging Jojo Siwa to a fight. Amazingly enough, she's on the show later on tonight.
Medical services and patient appointments, and putting at risk the healthcare needs of Kansas citizens.
Rim then allegedly demanded 2 Bitcoin, or roughly $118,000 at the time, from the undisclosed Kansas hospital in May 2021. The hospital paid the hackers to regain access to the servers.
The Department of Justice has identified approximately 17 victims targeted in this hacking campaign.
Those victims include other healthcare systems across the country. North Korea allegedly used the blackmail proceeds from those victims to fund cyber espionage.
Yeah, North Korea.
Hacks on U.S. federal government agencies, multiple U.S. military installations, and multiple defense contractors.
FBI Special Agent in Charge, Stephen Cyrus, led the investigation.
Is this dude even here? Maybe he's not a spy because they're charging him and he's in North Korea.
Investigation into Rim, who was last known to be in North Korea.
North Korea continues to carry out these sophisticated intrusions targeting the U.S. as a way to fund their military programs, thereby threatening the U.S. and other countries in the region.
We heard from a victim of an unrelated hospital cybersecurity incident back in January. The event caused Liberty Hospital to delay patient care. Linda Maupin's surgery for a child.
Oh, God, yeah, the North Korea government has probably already executed him. Unless he's really valuable. I don't know. How many hackers do they have?
Injury was pushed back a week.
I was disappointed because I was ready to get my surgery over with and get it done.
In Kansas City, Kansas, Lily O'Shea Becker, KSHB 41 News.
Well, there you go. That's your spy espionage Foreign warfare block of the show tonight. Moved to domestic affairs, where war criminals being protested in Washington, D.C. Gallons of fake blood poured out into the streets. Some had to be closed.
Talk about this because it's happening right now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris. You're looking at some new video we're just getting that meeting. Just in from.
Fair enough, DJW. You are correct. Ransomware gangs aren't usually all that skilled. They're, just relying on people's stupidity, laziness, how they use the same password for everything. That sort of thing. You are correct.
White House moments ago. Before this meeting, by the way, with the Vice President, Netanyahu sat down with President Biden. It was the first time the two have been together since the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. Now, the two leaders are joined by families of Israeli hostages still being held by Hamas, and they said they are...
God, Biden doesn't look good. Seriously. I don't know if he's going to make it his full term.
...confident their loved ones will be home soon.
We got absolute commitment from the Biden administration and from Prime Minister Netanyahu that they understand the urgency of this moment now, to waste no time and to complete this deal as it currently stands.
Yeah, meantime, outside the White House, protesters met for the fourth day in a row. You can see they poured fake blood on the ground and held up an effigy of the Prime Minister.
Good.
Rafael Sanchez-Cruz has been following these demonstrations all week long. And Rafa, how did today's protest compare to what we've been seeing all week?
And Lorenzo, today we saw a mix of groups of people all gathered in one area, which of course led to some heated exchanges. Now, the White House says that President Joe Biden reiterated his calls for Israel and Hamas to quickly agree to a ceasefire deal that would include bringing home the remaining hostages. Vice President Harris reportedly had a similar message for Netanyahu during her meeting today. Much of the protesters' pressure was focused on the executive, on Biden and Harris. Demonstrators were outraged because they consider today's meetings
probably one of the roads that was closed down.
Response in the war in Gaza. Now, throughout the day, I asked demonstrators on all sides of this issue if they believe today's meeting would result in a ceasefire, and this is what they had to say.
They're best friends, so I don't think anything of it. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna change.
Him being here specifically, I think there's a meaning behind that, which is we need to use the U.S., which is one of our biggest allies, to try to bring an end to this war and to bring our hostages back. We need to put an end to Hamas's terror wing and capabilities.
I think it's a spark for hope. It restores faith in humanity, and it brings people together to collaborate for justice, which is a noble goal.
Very noble.
So what's next? I asked demonstrators if these protests would continue, and they say they will. They call this a top.
I don't know if that road's closed.
Elections. A lot of the people that were out here are DMV locals.
He is. He's just in the middle of the road.
Skip out on voting in the upcoming elections if they can't find a candidate that moves towards a resolution. Live at Black Lives Matter Plaza, Rafael Sanchez-Cruz, WUSA 9.
Hopefully these meetings are not all talk and will eventually lead to a solution. Well, quickly, Rafa, thank you.
DJ Dub said he did not like Harris's comments about the protesters. I did not hear them because I'm not a pre-watch Andy, and that was the next thing on the list.
We want to take you live to the White House where Vice President Kamala Harris is speaking to reporters after meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
How it does so matters. Hamas is a brutal terrorist organization. On October 7, Hamas triggered this war when it massacred 1,200 people, including 44 Americans.
It started on October 7th.
Horrific acts of sexual violence and took 250 hostages.
Has committed horrific acts of sexual violence.
Captive in Gaza. Sagi Deko Hen, Hirsch Goldberg, Poland, Idan Alexander, Keith Siegel, Omer Nutra, and the remains of American citizens Judy Weinstein, Gad Haggai, and Itai Hen are still being held in Gaza. I have met with the families of these American hostages multiple times now, And I've told them each time they are not alone, and I stand with them. And President Biden and I are working every day to bring them home. I also expressed with the Prime Minister my serious concern about the scale of human suffering in Gaza, including the death of far too many innocent civilians. And I made clear my serious concern about the dire humanitarian situation there, with over 2 million people facing high levels of food insecurity, and 500,000 people facing catastrophic levels of acute food insecurity. What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety, sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent. Thanks to the leadership of our President, Joe Biden, there is a deal on the table for a ceasefire and a hostage deal. And it is important that we recall what the deal involves. The first phase of the deal would bring about a full ceasefire, including a withdrawal of the Israeli
Yes, we know about the deal.
population centers in Gaza.
There's one party not agreeing to this deal.
Military would withdraw from Gaza entirely, and it would lead
they aren't for that.
to the hostilities. It is time for this war to end. And end.
Yeah, they're not for that.
Israel is secure. All the hostages are released. The suffering
Warlord, did I tell you good evening?
in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can exercise their right to freedom, dignity, and self-determination. There has been hopeful movement in the talks to secure an agreement on this deal. And as I just told Prime Minister Netanyahu, it is time to...
Well, at least we're getting a change in PR, Krill.
So
I mean, I'll take that at
calling
least.
for a ceasefire, and to everyone
something.
who yearns for peace, I see you and I hear you. Let's get the deal done so we can get a ceasefire to end the war.
How pressure mounts.
Let's bring the hostages home, and let's provide much-needed relief to the Palestinian people. And
are you trying to say I shit myself, Warlord?
To a path forward that can lead to a two-state solution. And I know right now it is hard to conceive of that prospect, but a two-state solution is the only path that ensures Israel remains a secure, Jewish, and democratic state, and one that ensures Palestinians can finally realize the freedom.
A two-state solution doesn't happen without giving land back, and Israel's not going to make that happen. I felt like the two-state solution has, you know, at least passed a decade ago, maybe longer ago. I feel like a democratic state where everybody has equal representation is the only way. Israel's not going to go for that because then it won't be a Jewish ethno-state. So I don't know. I don't know where we go from here.
Security and prosperity that they rightly deserve. And I will close with this then. It is important for the American people to remember the war in Gaza is not a binary issue. However, too often the conversation...
We know! We didn't just fall out of no fucking coconut tree!
...is binary, when the reality is anything but. So I ask my fellow Americans to help encourage efforts to acknowledge the complexity, the nuance, and the history of the region. Let us all condemn terrorism.
I feel like you kinda didn't do that when you came out talking about how it started on October 7th. I feel like you left off a lot of history.
And violence. Let us all do what we can to prevent the suffering of innocent civilians, and let us condemn anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate of any kind. And let us work to unite our country. I thank you.
Madam Vice President, after.
So that was Vice President Kamala Harris telling people to hug the Nazis and get them to come around. Speaking of Nazis, her opponent in the upcoming presidential race appeared on Fox News earlier today. Apparently told viewers of Fox News not to vote.
We have lawyers at every poll booth. We have, that's what in fact, my instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes. I'm in Florida now, and I drove to another location yesterday, and every house has a Trump Vance sign on it. Every single house. There's not a house that we passed that doesn't. We have the votes. What we have to
drive
do.
by Charlie Chris' house then.
Oh, I know.
Just saying.
Charlie, I think Charlie probably has one up too. If you want to know that.
He's a Republican.
But everybody has. It's amazing, the spirit. And I'll say this: we had 2 elections. The first election we did great. The second election we did much better than.
You lost both.
But this election has more spirit than I've ever seen ever before. And that's because they've seen how bad these people are at government.
And next up Saturday in Minnesota. And next up Saturday in Minnesota.
Remember this, they're destroying our country, Brian. Right. They are destroying our
Mr.
country.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time
Thank you
today.
so much.
We'll be following that rally.
We told your
Well,
communications
thank you very
team
much.
you would be out by 8 o'clock, and we went 90 seconds over. It sounds like you.
They don't need the votes. They don't need the votes. Vice President Harris releasing a statement about his appearance on Fox News. After watching Fox News this morning, we only have one question. Is Donald Trump okay? I know she's trolling him and I love it. Statement on 78-year-old criminal's Fox News appearance. Is Donald Trump okay? No, he is not. Venus, good evening. Welcome. Now, the man that I am pushing for Harris to pick as her running mate is a man by the name of Andy Beshear. He is the governor of Kentucky. He apparently gave a press conference earlier today where he apologized, or it might have been yesterday, where he apologized to J.D. Vance. He's been out taking shots at J.D. Vance here recently. She has not picked him. No, we have no indication. This is my pick. This is who I hope she picks.
You know, the nicest thing people say to me isn't I agree with everything that you're doing. No, that's pretty nice to hear. It's that I don't always agree with you, but I know you're doing what you think is right. I talk about my faith because it's important to me. It's part of who I am. But it also helps people to understand my decisions. You know, when I vetoed the nastiest LGBTQ bill, I did it in an election year. I knew they'd use it against me, but I believe every child is.
I was about to say, I think I got audio. I don't think it's me.
Child of God, and I believe that those children needed somebody standing up for them in Frankfurt. That they needed to know that someone in their government really cares about them. You know, I think I'm a person that when you hear him talk to you instead of at you, you recognize that I want to listen to you, and my entire goal in this thing is to better your lives. That opens people up. That allows them to maybe think differently or even potentially vote differently. Okay, I think that is...
This is Andy Beshear. He called out J.D. Vance as being a fake Appalachian. He's been all over making the rounds. He is who I want Harris to pick for vice president. He is going to respond to... He apparently made fun of J.D. Vance for drinking Diet Mountain Dew.
All of our questions. Folks, I've been a person that when sometimes I've gone over the line, I've wanted to make sure that I set the record straight. So I do owe an apology to Diet Mountain Dew. Ale 81 is definitely the soft drink of Kentucky. But I don't believe that government should be making your decisions. So if you enjoy Diet Mountain Dew, you be you. We want to support you. And to Diet Mountain Dew, very sorry. Didn't mean to say negative things about you. Just remember, I am from here, just like everybody else that's speaking out. Thank you all very much.
And he leaves the dew up on the podium. Sparkles dropping the knowledge over here. As an Appalachian, I can tell you that's exactly what Mountain Dew was made for, to cut moonshine. Mountain Dew invented in Appalachia. But I believe it was Tennessee, not Kentucky. I do not like Mountain Dew. I'm not a fan. Apparently Sparkles loves the shit. I didn't know this. And that she has to limit herself to where, like, she only gets it when she goes to Taco Bell. So we would do Taco Bell, once every couple of months? And you get you a Mountain Dew. Apparently. This is Disability Pride Month. I would like to point that out. We're getting ready to hear from Representative Jennifer Wexton, who used an iPad and AI to give a speech on the floor of Congress to commemorate Disability Pride Month.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Disability Pride Month, celebrated each July to commemorate the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's hard to believe that the ADA will turn 34 years old tomorrow. I was in college when it passed in 1990. Today, an entire generation has never known life without the protections that exist because of the ADA. We have come a long way from the days when sidewalk curbs would routinely cause insurmountable challenges for Americans in wheelchairs, and now, when accommodation is the rule, not the exception. As a new member of the differently abled community, I believe it's important not only to celebrate how far we've come, but also to recognize how far we still have to go. The issue of disability rights and accessibility has been one I've worked on closely since my first days in public office. When I served in the Virginia State Senate back...
This is the kind of shit I love about politics. This is amazing. This is why I want to play this.
In 2015, I worked alongside Connor Cummings, a young Virginian with autism who lived in my district, and his mom, Sharon, to pass Connor's Law, legislation that closed a loophole and extended parental support for severely disabled and special needs children over age 18, giving relief to single parents. I've had the pleasure of welcoming Connor and Sharon to Capitol Hill to testify on the impact of Connor's Law for families like theirs and the need to replicate it in states across the country. The proudest vote I took in the state Senate was in 2018, when we voted finally to expand Medicaid in Virginia. Through this monumental action, we extended affordable health care access to hundreds of thousands of the most vulnerable Virginians, including many of those living with disabilities. That's also why I fought so hard once coming to Congress to successfully protect and expand the Affordable Care Act, including preventing insurance companies from discriminating against people with pre-existing conditions and defending the elimination of lifetime caps on coverage, which would be devastating for families of those with disabilities. In fact, the very first constituent meeting I took when I came to Washington in 2019 was with the Little Lobbyists, a group of families with young
Princess Kimberly.
complex medical needs and disabilities. I invited one of those.
I assume this is her staffer. It could be her daughter. I'm not exactly sure who it is. I would like to say it's probably her chief of staff, but like, look how proud she is that she's able to get up here and give this speech. Like the look on her face says it all. Like this is bringing joy to my black heart.
Families to be my guest at the State of the Union in 2020 to highlight just how important fighting back against efforts to undermine the ACA was for families like theirs. Over the past year, the fight for disability rights has become a personal one. My battle with progressive supranuclear palsy, or PSP, has robbed me of my ability to use my full voice and move around in the ways that I used to. Rather than striding confidently onto the House floor to vote, I gratefully accept rides across Independence Avenue, and yes, I get the irony, from my office to the Capitol. I rely on a walker to get around, and in all likelihood, before my term ends, I will appear on the House floor for votes in a wheelchair. I can no longer give the same kind of impassioned impromptu speeches during debates on the floor or in committee hearings. This very impressive AI recreation of my voice does the public speaking for me now. I found myself understanding firsthand just a fraction of the challenges that so many Americans live with each day. It's been a big adjustment for me, for my family, for my team, and for my colleagues who have known me for years and have had to watch me go through these challenges. But mine is not a unique story. Millions of Americans face challenges that make it harder to move, speak, act, or otherwise live their day-to-day lives. But that disability does not define who they are. I certainly have not allowed my new challenges to define me. This is not a situation I would have chosen to find myself in. I never thought that at my age and otherwise good health, something like PSP could, in the space of just over a year, rob me of my ability to speak, run, or dance, and force me to stop doing the job that I love. I also never expected to be in a position to make history by being the first member to use an augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, device on the House floor. I used to be one of those people who hated the sound of my voice. When my ads came on TV, I would cringe and change the channel. But you truly don't know what you've got till it's gone, because hearing the new AI of my old voice for the first time was music to my ears. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard, and I cried tears of joy. I'm not going to sugarcoat the difficulties that I've faced the past year. But what has brought me a renewed sense of determination is the opportunity to use this unique platform to try to help others. The supportive messages I've received have been overwhelming, especially from those facing similar speaking or movement challenges who see someone like me, who just happens to be in the spotlight, persevere in the same ways that they are. I'm not doing it for praise or admiration, but I do hope that when people see me continuing to do all I can to keep living my life and doing this job I love as best I can, they understand and appreciate the courage, resilience, and spirit that so many Americans of differing abilities demonstrate each and every day. I hope I can be a voice, even an AI voice, for Americans facing accessibility challenges and other disabilities, because too often people only see us for that disability, and in truth, we are so much more. Mr. Speaker, I ask my colleagues to join me in recognizing this Disability Pride Month and in celebrating the strength and perseverance of the disability community. I yield back.
That was history. You saw the first representative to speak using a augmented communications, I wanted to say device, but it was ACC, I think was the acronym. DJ Dub, did you catch that? Do you know what she was talking about? Augmented communication something or other. Here, CBS News covered it.
Finally, tonight's Heart of America. Virginia Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton made history today, delivering what is believed to be the first speech from the House floor using a voice cloned by artificial intelligence. She was diagnosed last year with a rare neurological disorder that robbed her of the ability to speak clearly. Wexton and her team spent weeks compiling clips of her previous speeches to generate an AI model of her voice. Today, she used her time to advocate for people living with disabilities and to honor the Americans with Disabilities Act.
I hope I can
augmented and alternative communication. Thank you, Venus. That is awesome.
Be a voice, even an AI voice, for Americans facing accessibility challenges and other disabilities, because too often people only see us for that disability, and in truth, we are so much more.
Such an important message. Representative Jennifer Wexton of Virginia, tonight's Heart of America.
I want to cover more stories like that. I don't want to cover all the bullshit that we always... I don't want to cover J.D. Vance fucking couches. Because that's apparently a thing that we have to cover. He didn't actually say he fucked a couch in Hillbilly Elegy. But you also can't say, no, J.D. Vance didn't fuck a couch. Because 99% of all men out here have tried to fuck a couch when they were a boy. So, like, the news being dishonest over here and being like, no, he didn't fuck no couch. And people be like, well, wait a minute, you can't say he didn't fuck a couch. You can say the book didn't say he fucked a couch, but you can't say he didn't fuck a couch, because he probably fucked a couch. It's absurd. What kind of world do we live in? What with men? Oh fuck. Hold on. I've got a meme for this. Since I brought it up. Who need they couchacy hate? Anonymously. Well, that's what that's what I said to a friend of mine that I was talking to. I was like, pretty much all like young men are gonna try to fuck a couch at some point in time. They're gonna put their dick in everything they can that they think might feel good. It's just gonna happen. And she was like, well, girls do the same thing with pillows, stuffed animals kind of deal. But apparently, Minty, did I tell you good evening? Apparently he didn't say it in his book. That's not a thing that happened. We are about 2 weeks away. Are we? Maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We are about 3 weeks away from the Democratic National Convention taking place in Chicago.
National Convention in Chicago is just weeks away, and today city leaders, along with federal law enforcement, gave an update on security plans. WMUR's Marissa Tansino is in the newsroom now with more on precautions in place.
Well, Jen, the DNC announced increased security measures will be in place for this year, both in the days leading.
Damn, she got some awesome hair.
Following the 2024 Democratic National.
Let's talk about how fucking fantastic her hair is. Is that real hair? It's rude of me to ask that, isn't it? But that is just amazing hair. I wish my hair looked like that. I only ask if it's real because, like, can you get real hair to look that fucking good? Yeah, and as I've said before, like, pretty much everyone on TV has a weave or extensions or something going on. But, like, god damn, that amazing hair, ma'am.
With more on precautions in place.
Well, Jen, the DNC announced increased security measures will be in place for this year, both in the days leading up to and immediately following.
Hell yeah, go protest.
Democratic National Convention. The U.S. Secret Service and law enforcement on federal, state, and local levels releasing maps of the perimeter that will be in place in Chicago. Security and safety has been top of mind following the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump at a rally earlier this month. The U.S. Secret Service, though, saying this security plan has been a work in progress for more than a year.
The assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th was a terrible day for our.
Wait a minute, isn't that like William Dafoe?
entire nation. The investigation into this incident is being handled in Washington, D.C. The Secret Service...
Am I fucked up? Yes, the young Green Goblin. What the... Seriously?
...remains dedicated to transparency and is working diligently to seek answers. An incident like what took place in Butler, Pennsylvania must never happen again.
I'm freaking out over here.
The DNC will run from August 9th.
Dean Wormer, what's up, my friend? I look like what a Sammy Hagar song with Danny Bonaducci on bass would look like if it was a person. Does Danny Bonaducci play bass? Danny Bonaducci died, didn't he? Michael Anthony plays bass in Sammy Hagar's band. It's called Chickenfoot. Danny Bonaducci did die. Dr. Dean Wormer. He's alive? No, I think he died a couple years ago. Are we going to have to look this up? Bonaducci lives. Still alive. Cassidy died. Come on, get happy. Hello World is a song that we're singing. Is everyone happy that Danny Bonaducci is alive? Does he play bass? He just looks like death. I haven't seen him in years. I clearly thought he was dead. Who's John Mayall? Mayall. I do not know who that is. If I Google them, will I know them? I don't know a lot of names. I'm not good with names. I'm not good with names or looks. If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to have to, well, who did he play for? Apparently he just passed away. If you're watching on Twitch, you're going to get a commercial break. When we come back, we got all kinds of shit. We're going to do the crime section. So if you don't like crime, that's what we're doing next. You can come back in about probably 45 minutes to an hour. We got a lot of shit. A lot of shit like an explosion at the Jose Cuervo plant. We got a man arrested for possessing explosives in North Texas. A Uvalde cop is pleading not guilty. We're going to look into the history of the cop that shot Sonia Massey. There was a shooting today or yesterday maybe in Fort Worth. Of course there was. It's today's edition of What the Fuck Happened in Fort Worth. A teen took a bullet for his mom and then was rescued by bystanders. A court blocked the release of an innocent man. A woman who killed her wife with a samurai sword has been arrested. A bus slammed into a Burger King. We've got a boat explosion in Lake Michigan. Oprah and Gayle King say they're not gay. Keith D says that P. Diddy helped murder Tupac. And cocaine sharks. Cocaine sharks. So stick around after the commercial break. All that and a lot freaking more here on the Troll Patrol live. Cocaine sharks. So do I not know anybody he played with? I'll look him up later. We had cocaine was it hippos? Cocaine hippos. That was the first I ever heard about it. What was it? Like they dumped a bunch of coke near Pablo Escobar's. Like he had like hippos that he kept on his property. And they ended up getting, I think they had to like fucking put him down. Cocaine Shark, do 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 do. I don't know the song, so I can't like sing the song. Dean, are you following? I didn't see what you said, but I love Frank Zappa, one of my favorite artists. I saw Dweezil, God, it's been almost like a decade ago now, on the Zappa Plays Zappa tour. I wouldn't say we watched an hour. It was like 3 songs. That sounds dirty, Sparkles. Dust in your moon unit. She was married to like the guitarist from like 3 Doors Down or some shit. I saw that and I was like disappointed. Like that's who like wasn't even a good musician. Hold on, let me. Oh yeah, I got the Left Is Best shirt on. Matchbox 20. I'm sorry I confused 3 Doors Down with Matchbox 20. You can understand how I could do that, right? I'd probably have to say Matchbox 20 is cooler just because Rob Thomas appeared on Sunny in Philadelphia and he didn't say anything. He just got bullied by Sinbad. I love Eric Andre. How'd we get on Eric Andre? Huge fan. Been going back and like watching the Eric Andre show in order. Oh, here, I had this pulled up. I was going to cover this when we first came on. It was live earlier. It might not be live anymore. It is not. I don't know if they have contained it or what, but there was a massive junkyard fire in LA. They don't even have audio for this. Massive junkyard fire in LA. And so I'm telling you guys, they get their use out of their helicopter. The LA news stations. No way, Jose. So this was just a couple hours ago. This is somewhere out in LA County. That's one way to deal with the unsold Tesla inventory. It has been incredibly hot and dry. They are dealing with all kinds of fires. I believe one person has been arrested for arson. For starting a fire in California. As long as we're talking about fires in California, let's go to the raging wildfires that are engulfing not just Cali, the entire Pacific Northwest, up into Canada. Does it have a video? Is the video going to play for us? I'm working on it. Play it. Go to ABC 7. We'd rather watch the local news anyway, CBS. Fuck off.
1,000 acres northeast of Chico since the fire started a little over 24 hours ago. A man is under arrest accused of starting that blaze.
ABC 7 News reporter J.R. Stone in studio following this breaking story with some video, J.R., that actually shows the suspect.
It certainly does, Larry. Authorities are reviewing video that a witness took and then put online. All we can show you is a still image of the man. Her post says he simply walked away. This is the suspect from behind. In her video, the woman frantically explained what she saw.
This dude's car caught on fire and it set the whole park on fire. And he took off and let his car run.
The Butte County District Attorney's Office says a 42-year-old Chico man was arrested, and it then added more details as to what happened. It says the man was seen pushing a burning car down a hill at Bidwell Park just before 3 p.m. yesterday. Witnesses saw him walking away from the scene. The DA's office did share a picture of what it says is the burned out vehicle. The suspect is behind bars, held without bail, due to be arraigned on Monday. The fire erupted, chewing through 45,000 acres in just 4 hours and an unknown number of homes. On average, it has gone through the equivalent of 50 football fields per minute.
The size of these embers are like dollar bills and they're hot.
There are numerous evacuation orders because of the park fire. It has now spread into Tehama County as well, and at last check, just 3% contained. So far, there are no confirmed reports of any injuries, but there is video showing buildings going up in flames. The weather is playing a big factor as it's getting into the triple digits there as I speak. CAL FIRE says overnight the temperature remained in the 80s and the winds were still gusting up to 25 miles per hour. That is a major problem when that happens. Kristen?
God damn. If I believed in the Bible, it would be like biblical times, right? Like all kinds of shit's going on. The earth is mad at us. Yellowstone exploded.
Terrifying moments caught on camera in Yellowstone National Park as a hot pool explodes, sending boiling water and debris high into the air. One Southern California family witnessed the hydrothermal explosion firsthand.
KTLA's Chris Wolf spoke to that family and joins us now in studio with more. Chris?
Yeah, that's right, Micah and Cher. Their first day of vacation in Yellowstone National Park was one they will never forget.
This is the geyser,
family
right?
From Southern California traveled to Wyoming. One of the little boys was expecting a boring tour. Well, the March family ended up running for their lives. Fascination,
not a geyser.
Fear, thrills and chills, shock and awe. Visitors at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming had one unforgettable experience Tuesday morning, witnessing a surprise eruption, something scientists call a hydrothermal explosion.
Run, run, run! Everything was just fine. The water was blue and calm when we walked past it, and within seconds it became a huge explosion.
The skyrocketing blast of rock, water, and steam forced tourists to scatter in all directions, running for safety, not knowing what else to expect. Clearly, the panic wasn't enough to keep them from grabbing their cell phones and recording this volatile natural.
Wow.
The March family of Palm Desert, California, was too close for comfort. Mom Vlada, sons Maxwell and Ethan, Dad Steve, and Grandma were soaking in the rustic beauty of Yellowstone when they were suddenly soaked with silt.
She ran to the other side. My mother was actually sitting right next to it. Thankfully, she was able to make it to the other side.
Lucky no one was injured or killed.
She made it to the other side, but she was able to cover herself in a jacket, and that's how she made it okay.
Everything was dark, and most of the boardwalk was like broken.
Experts say the explosion could have resulted from a clogged passageway in the extensive natural plumbing network under Yellowstone's world-famous geysers, hot springs, and other thermal features. A clog would cause a buildup of heat and pressure. Water suddenly flashes to steam, and kaboom.
I don't think this is America's fault. Thanks, Obama.
It's really hard to fully process what exactly happened.
Wow. The explosion happened at the site of a hot pool, which now appears to be larger in area with its water turned a muddy beige. Scientists say this blast was relatively small compared to what the Yellowstone system has done in the past. At least 22 people have died in this type of natural activity at the park since 1890. I'm Chris Wolf, KTL 5 News.
All right, Chris, incredible.
22 since 1890. That seems like a pretty good trade-off. Did they explain to you the risk of death? What is that? Like bound to be millions of people go through there, so that's like a point something % chance. I guess we'll keep on the explosions, shall we? Let's go to Mexico. 6 people dying in an explosion at a Jose Cuervo factory.
To Mexico now, where 6 people are dead after an explosion and fire at a tequila factory in Mexico, a Jose Cuervo factory. You can see the explosion caught on a surveillance camera here. Incredibly scary. You can see the flames shooting up into the sky from behind that building there. Rescuers finding the body of that 6th person today after battling flames and after a desperate search overnight for any survivors. Here's Yasmin Vasukian.
In Mexico, first responders still identifying bodies today in the charred remains of a Jose Cuervo tequila distillery explosion. Surveillance footage capturing that massive blast, showing what appears to be a large tank flying through the air. That explosion fueling raging fires. Local authorities rushing to the scene, posting these photos of their efforts to subdue the flames as the fires spread through the distillery's hulking 50,000-gallon tanks. Efforts extending through the night as first responders assess the damage.
Nos encontramos todavía revisando algunos puntos de calor que todavía se encuentran en algunos contenedores. Son 4 contenedores de 219,000 litros cada uno. Colapsan 2.
Justin, good evening.
Collapsed containers the size of nearby buildings. At least 6 people are confirmed dead. The destruction rocking the small town of Tequila, Mexico, where the Cuervo brand and modern tequila were born. In a statement, the company confirmed the deaths from the accident at its plant, adding that several other workers were in fact injured. The tragedy occurring on the eve of National Tequila Day back here in the U.S., the cause of the explosion still being investigated.
Oh yes, let's always relate it back to
con la empresa para ver cuántos se contrataron, pero afortunadamente
U.S. capitalism.
Pero ya la situación no sale de control.
Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
I think they said it was still under. Shut up, Lester.
Breaking news and
still under investigation, but the situation is under control. Go across the border to Texas, where a former Uvalde police officer has pled not guilty.
A former Uvalde, Texas police officer has pleaded not guilty to charges stemming from the 2022 school shooting. Adrian Gonzalez appeared in court today and pleaded not guilty to 29 counts of abandoning and endangering a child by failing to confront the shooter. Former police chief Pete Arredondo also faces charges, but he waived his arraignment. He has pleaded not guilty. The gunman, you'll recall, killed 19 children and 2 teachers. It took nearly 400 law enforcement officers more than 70 minutes to actually confront that shooter. CBS News Texas.
We know he's bad
Andrea
at his
Lucia
job.
Is in Uvalde for us. Andrea, what did we see in court today?
Hey, Andrea.
Yeah, well, I mean, keep in mind, this was the first opportunity that victims' families had to see Adrian Gonzalez in person. So dozens of them showed up. They took up the first 5.
They look good in orange.
Courtroom. Adrian Gonzalez himself walked in wearing a suit with his attorneys. He faced the judge, entered his plea. He never once, though, looked back at the gallery. And that's something that the family certainly noticed. One told me it was a slap in the face. Another man, though, did give him credit, at least for showing up at all.
Well, what are we hearing from Gonzalez and from his attorneys about how he feels about the actions that he took or didn't take on that day?
Yeah, I mean, Gonzalez's attorneys did speak to reporters after the hearing. I asked one of them, how Gonzalez was feeling walking into today. He says Gonzalez was feeling innocent about his actions. He doesn't feel like he was the horrible monster in this scenario responsible for these deaths. His attorneys say, this is sort of uncharted territory here. This is the first time that a Texas law enforcement officer has been charged with this specific law. And they're also wondering, why Gonzalez was singled out. Again, there were more than 370 law enforcement officers who responded to Robb Elementary, and so far only 2 have been criminally charged, and Gonzalez with nearly 3 times the number of counts that his former boss was.
All right.
Bagheera, good evening. Where's this DEI? Is it in the room with you right now? What's the DEI that you speak of? What are you talking about? Brother. Have you ever heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know? No one has ever been hired based on skill and experience. It's never been a thing. We don't live in a meritocracy. But good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm wondering, in the time that we have remaining, Andrea, do we expect to see more officers potentially face charges?
I mean, anything's possible, really, but we've seen no indication of that. We do know that the victims' families would like to see more officers charged. One father who lost his son in the shooting told me out here today he wants to see every single one of them charged. More than 370 officers in some way charged for this.
Yes.
And Andrea,
yes.
About the victims' families, how are they doing now?
I mean, it's difficult. It's been
Holiday, good evening.
Years, and you've got sort of 2 groups. You have those who have lost their children and are working to keep their memories alive, and then you have 17 with children who were injured, in some cases severely injured, who are dealing with not just physical but emotional trauma that they're dealing with. So still a lot of recovery going on here, a lot of anger. And some of them just said they had to be here today to fight for their children, to fight for some form of justice in all this.
All right, Andrea Lucia, thank you.
DJ Dub hit the nail on the fucking head. Bagheera, it's not diversity in the Secret Service that is the reason it's in shambles. It's because law enforcement is incompetent. You have to understand, like the cops in Uvalde, law enforcement is incompetent. Just like this Chicago Police Department lieutenant. He is incompetent.
But first, a Chicago police lieutenant relieved of his police powers after a shocking confrontation caught on camera.
Our Tia Ewing spoke with the man who recorded it. Tia.
Well, Scott and Dawn, this officer was off duty when all of this unfolded. I did speak to the man who recorded the video. He doesn't want his entire name out there in fear of retaliation.
The cops retaliating.
Some digging, and we found out this isn't the first time this officer has been accused of wrongdoing.
How many cameras you got in your arms? How many lights have you shaved? You nobody.
A racial slur hurled during a heated argument Friday, July 12th. The man in the blue used the N-word. He got into another altercation with someone else on the same night on this downtown Chicago rooftop. This time, the person he was arguing with identified him as a police officer. Behind the cell phone video recording is Raheem. He confronted the man on the spot.
That ain't funny, bro. Ain't you a police officer? Not me, dude. Yeah.
Days later, Raheem posted the video on Instagram, garnering thousands of views and an investigation.
I ain't really know how to react because it's like, I know they the police and he not talking to me, but it's still affecting me. So it had me feeling like in a weird position. It's like I'm upset.
Like Marge's boyfriend. Oh, the fucking the bowling instructor. Oh my God, he does. Oh, that is a deep cut.
Office of Police Accountability is investigating the incident, and Lieutenant Andrew DeCurris. He's a 29-year veteran on the force.
They need to actually pay attention to the complaints made, pay attention to the officers they have, because these are people that's arresting our communities.
It's not the first time DeCurris has been in the headlines. This is from our website in 2021, stemming from a federal jury finding that DeCurris used excessive force when a man was tackled and beaten during Cubs World Series celebrations in 2016. The man was awarded more than $50,000. At that time, DeCurris had 73 complaints against him. DeCurris'
holy shit
been marred by turmoil. In 2019, video shows he was honored alongside two other officers for rescuing a woman who was under attack.
So I feel like they need to actually do something.
Well, the Chicago police, they did confirm for us that DeCurris was relieved of his police powers on July 16th, pending the outcome now of this investigation. Live tonight, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
Hi, Tia. What in the... What? I can't believe he was still a cop after all that. After if the taxpayers have to pay out, then you should definitely get fired. But this motherfucker continued being a cop for 8 more years. Couple of days ago, Sunday night, I don't even remember when it was, we played the video of Sonia Massey getting shot by the police in the face, doing absolutely nothing wrong. The cop has been fired, but apparently this dude, he's got a record. We're going to look into his background.
Records show the former deputy who shot Sonia Massey worked for multiple departments in the state of Illinois in just a handful of years. Senior investigative reporter Paula Vassan delves into how law enforcement officers in the state of Illinois are tracked. Paula.
Well, legal experts tell us the state of Illinois has something Missouri does not have, a way to search for police officers to check their work history. It shows former sheriff's deputy Sean Grayson worked for 6 different agencies in the state of Illinois in just 4 years. But the public website does not show the full picture, revealing hired and separation dates without explanation. State records show 30-year-old Grayson hopped around as a part-time officer at 3 small departments. He had a full-time job at a 4th department and worked at 2 sheriff's offices, all of his jobs in central Illinois. We've also discovered he had 2 misdemeanor DWI convictions in Macoupin County. The I-team is working to find out what's being done in the state to prevent officers with potentially bad track records from bouncing around. Industry sources tell us it's the responsibility of the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board to allow an officer to be hired somewhere else. The I-team has reached out to that board for an explanation into how Grayson kept getting hired. We're waiting to hear back. We've also discovered that in general, sovereign immunity in state law often prohibits negligent hiring cases against state entities like police departments. It means it can be easier for bad hires to slip through the cracks.
If you have a tip for Paula, call 314-444-5231. You can leave a voicemail. You can also.
I'm tempted to call her and tell her that, like, yellow's your color, girl. She rocks it. You gotta admit it. She rocking it. Let's go to... I don't know if I think this is in Dallas. I was getting ready to say that this is today's Chrysanthemum. Good evening. Hope you are well. I think this happened in Dallas, but I was getting ready to say it's tonight's episode of What the Fuck is Going On in Fort Worth?
An investigation into a stolen vehicle led to a police...
DJ Dub, give Chris a shout out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blake Hansen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes. So one suspect was shot. Another has separate injuries, and at least one more is still on the run. The Dallas police chief says no officers were injured. Let's get you straight to David Santendry at the scene off Walnut Hill and 75. David.
What up, David?
Yeah, as we arrived on scene, we saw some officers with long guns searching for someone, and now we know that someone is one of 4 suspects who is still on the run. We're going to take you back to where this all began. This is at an apartment complex just off 75. This is the Lakeside Apartments off Gulf Lake Trail. This is near Walnut Hill Lane. And it was around 1:20 in the afternoon where undercover officers were tracking a stolen vehicle because they were alerted by some flock cameras. So they showed up to this apartment complex where the vehicle was located, but they say that truck, it's a red truck, it was occupied, so they called for some backup. They wanted Dallas PD uniformed officers to make some arrests. Those officers arrived, but at that point in time, they say the vehicle accelerated, struck 2 Dallas police vehicles, and there were 4 suspects in that vehicle, at least one of them armed, and a shooting happened. They said officers fired weapons at an armed suspect who was apprehended. That suspect was taken to a hospital, and then one of those 4 people actually has an outstanding murder warrant. He's been apprehended. So
wait, what?
Quick recap. One person was shot by officers. He is at a hospital. One person is injured at a hospital but not shot. One person is just in custody, and then one person is still at large. Again, this was all because of that stolen vehicle. We spoke to the police chief just a few minutes ago who talked about this chaotic scene earlier today.
I'm still not even sure what happened. Did you just say all cops are heroes after we just watched like 3 stories in a row of cops being just complete and utter embarrassments? I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but somebody deserves a titty slap. I want to get the rundown one more time. No, Bagheera is our friend. Bagheera is our friend.
Suspect who was apprehended. That suspect was taken to a hospital, and then one of those 4 people actually has an outstanding murder warrant. He's been apprehended. So just want to...
The link for this story?
One person was shot by officers. He is at a hospital. One person is injured at a hospital but not shot. One person is just in custody, and then one person is still at large. Again, this was all because of that stolen vehicle. We spoke to the police chief just a few minutes ago who talked about this chaotic scene earlier today.
There is nothing routine about this job. What was a stolen vehicle that officers...
He thinks he looks so cool.
...to be a deadly encounter with police officers getting rammed, with armed suspects fleeing, and officers putting their lives on the line.
The chief of police did not take any questions today, but as usual, he says he will be available when they release some body camera footage and they do a breakdown of what happened, typically a few days after this incident. In the meantime, a lot of people in this neighborhood are just kind of collecting their things. Many people have been kept out of their apartments throughout the afternoon as this whole scene played out. We'll have more for you on Fox 4 News at 6, but for now, I'll send it back to y'all in the studio.
All right, David, thanks.
See, here's the thing, Bagheera, is I'm not showing outliers at all. I can show you the statistics. Do you know what the clearance rate is? For violent crimes, it floats around like 40 to 45%. For nonviolent crimes, it is like the teens to maybe the lower 20%. Cops are virtually fucking useless. And as we've seen time and time again, they're incompetent. They dropped the ball on your precious Donald Trump rally the other day. Like, it's not DEI, it's just cops are fucking useless. All over the country. Every night we're watching cases like the fucking Uvalde. We watch cops put people in danger. Did you know that the cops in this country shoot more civilians than the next 10 industrialized countries combined over the last 10 years? In 1 year alone. In 1 year alone in this country. We shoot more civilians than England, Japan, Germany. Shoot more civilians in 1 year than all those other countries shoot. And kill. In the last 10 years. Combined. Overall. Like, it's insane. Our police are absolutely, positively incompetent. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. No doubt in my mind. And like, I like our justice system. I'm pretty into our court system. But boy, do we get it wrong all the fucking time. Like here in Missouri, where the state Supreme Court is blocking the release of a man that we know is innocent.
We understand that there may have been some request or order from the Attorney General's office requesting that he not be released.
Before even being set free after being behind bars for 34 years, Christopher Dunn faces another roadblock. Missouri's Attorney General is trying to stop his release by appealing a judge's decision. This week, a St. Louis judge granted a motion to vacate Dunn's murder conviction, saying the St. Louis Circuit Attorney made a clear and convincing show of actual innocence.
There was no physical evidence, no circumstance, nothing else to tie the defendant to the crime.
After 26 years as a judge, Booker Shaw has seen many cases before him in St. Louis City.
We're just very happy with how things turned out.
Now he's helping St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore with Christopher Dunn's case. In 1991, Dunn was convicted of first-degree murder after being charged with shooting and killing 15-year-old Rico Rogers in North St. Louis City. At the time, a 14-year-old and 12-year-old said they witnessed the shooting, but later recanted their statements. In his first year, Gore demanded a judge to look at this case.
Now we're in an era where the law has provided an opportunity for the prosecutor, him or herself, to proceed with a motion to set aside and order the release of an individual who's been convicted. So it's somewhat unique.
The Missouri Attorney General's office still believes Dunn is guilty. In May, during a court hearing, the Assistant Attorney General called Dunn the gunman and said he told lies. With this appeal process in place, Shaw and Gore are working to navigate next steps.
There's no provision for it under the law, and therefore we just don't know exactly what shape this is going to take.
Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Bagheera, my man, you aren't the sharpest tool in the shed. Let's go back to Texas. This time to Houston, where this is an insane story. Buckle up for this one.
On 13, a 16-year-old is being called a hero after taking a bullet for his stepmother during an armed carjacking in Deer Park last night. The man who police say shot the teen was arrested after a chase and
rockets.
And new right now, the family of that teen is speaking only to.
Do you think he likes Elon Musk, or do you think he likes the Houston Rockets? I think it's 50-50. He might be an Elon Musk fan.
and crash. And new right now, the family of that teen is speaking only to ABC 13's Daniela Hurtado about the terrifying experience.
The parents of 16-year-old William Hammond say he is expected to make a full recovery. They're hailing the teenager a hero this afternoon for his fast action to help his stepmother and to defend her. The family says they want justice and for the man accused in all of this to be held responsible.
William is the hero, and he took that bullet for me.
Charlotte Tucker and her stepson William Hammond
He wasn't even supposed to work yesterday.
were leaving work at I Heart Mac and Cheese on Spencer Highway in Deer Park Tuesday.
Wasn't even supposed to work that day.
Because, you know, who knows what the guy could have done to Charlotte.
When a man approached Tucker demanding her car.
And I don't know if we registered about the gun yet, and I don't even know if that mattered to Will. He wanted the guy away from me.
Tucker says a few moments later she heard a loud pop.
9015 Spencer, possible robbery. Callers advised that her stepdad was shot and someone took their car. He wasn't okay, and blood was everywhere.
I see a bunch of blood coming down on him, and I just couldn't even, I was like, what is happening? And then he pulls up his shirt a little bit, and I see a hole in his chest, and I was like, okay, this is serious.
Riley Gingrich was leaving work a few doors down when he heard
such a buzzkill
and immediately helped Will.
Riley was there. Riley took off his shirt immediately and applied pressure to William's wound. I don't know if Riley would have been there, this would be a completely different scenario.
As Will fought for his life, 28-year-old Matthew Hubert led law enforcement on a multi-jurisdictional high-speed chase after being accused of shooting the teen and stealing their car. Our cameras captured it as police say the chase went from Deer Park to West Houston on Creek Bend Drive.
He's a bad character. He needs to be put away for life.
Clearly.
Hubert was arrested and is facing multiple charges, including aggravated robbery. Court records show he has a lengthy 14-year criminal past.
They say they got footage.
Locked away forever. It shouldn't happen.
Will remains at the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery.
When you had told me he's gonna be okay in there, my heart had dropped. That was the biggest sigh of relief probably my entire life.
Tucker says today they're alive to tell the story thanks to her two heroes, her stepson and a bystander who stepped up.
The ripple effect of it, William saved me, Riley saved William, and ultimately God.
Ultimately, God. I'm gonna go to their channel, see if I can. Apparently, he's gonna be okay. Really know how to navigate their channel, to be honest with you. We'll see. We'll see if we can find a fucking chase. Watch it be what we've already watched. Oh, their live channels never fucking end. Let's see what we got on the videos page here. Have been before that. Ah. Feeding for a police chase. That's not true. Like fucking YouTube has been suggesting them to me. I've got several bookmarked. Some of them are old, but they're like most of them are in the last year. Let's go to California. Hey, I got a cat in front of my monitor. I can't see. Hey, dude, I can't see what's going on. Yes, I don't think he threw the dog out the window. I think he slowed down and let the dog out. I like to believe that. But we do know that the puppy is okay. Look at that sweet baby. And like the anger at one point, I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking about this puppy this morning. The anger said that the dog might have hopped out. So he might have slowed down and let the dog hop out. I hope something like that was the case and he was actually protecting the dog. We're glad the puppy wasn't in the wreck that we saw later. That was a violent fucking wreck that we saw after that. Let's go out to Cali, where an armed suspect was apparently shot by the police. I should probably hit the content warning for this one. That dude, absolutely, his legs were broke, at least in that crash. Maybe before then, but like definitely after that crash, his legs were broke.
Body cam video shows an officer-involved shooting that killed one man back in April.
It happened in Long Beach when officers were responding to an armed robbery on Cerritos Avenue. KTLA's Carlos Herrera is live now with those details. Carlos, good morning.
Morning, Carlos.
Megan and Eric, this happened back on April 26 at around 8:30 p.m. We've now learned from investigators that the teen suspect was armed with the replica gun. This morning, Long Beach police has released
the cops shot a kid with a gun.
We want to warn you.
A replica gun.
Disturbing for some to watch.
I have police on the way. Who has the gun?
Usted se encuentra en Chorritos. Ya, la policía ya va en camino. ¿Quién es la persona que tiene?
I wouldn't be surprised if the cops planted it on him.
We don't know. We don't know.
A 911 call from inside a home here on Cerritos Avenue. The caller there, a grandmother, telling dispatch through a translator that an armed suspect has entered her home. Security cameras show the man wearing a mask and using a crowbar to try and break in. When officers arrive, the intruder runs to the backyard and the house is eventually evacuated.
You got white face paint on?
Officers are then heard giving the intruder orders to drop his weapon. For over 90 minutes, officers and even crisis negotiators try to de-escalate the entire situation, even giving him water.
What?
Hey, we want to talk to you. Relax. Can you put that thing down on the ground, please? I'm going to do my best. You ready? Look at that.
As the negotiation continues, the intruder tells officers he wanted them to kill him and threatened to kill himself. Then, just before 10 p.m., an officer fires one shot after the intruder pointed a gun at the officer.
A replica gun.
Who was that? Who was that?
That was me.
He had like a bandana on.
He
looked badass.
Appears to be blocked by the police car. The officer is behind, but the video also showing officers inside the house attempting CPR on the suspect before he was taken to a nearby hospital where he eventually died. Now, investigators say the weapon he was carrying turned out to be a replica gun. The 17-year-old suspect, a resident of San Bernardino, his 18-year-old accomplice, ran away from the scene and was later arrested in Modesto. It's unclear why the suspects targeted the home in this neighborhood as standard protocol with these use of force incidents.
I want to say kids just being kids, but goddamn, that's a realistic looking gun, and he was fucking dressed up badass.
Cerritos Avenue, the caller there, a grandmother, telling dispatch through a translator, an armed suspect has entered her home. Security cameras show the man wearing a mask and using a crowbar to try and break in. When officers arrive, the intruder
That's wild. That shows a lot of forethought, too.
The intruder runs to the backyard and the house is eventually evacuated. Long Beach police officers are then heard giving the intruder orders to drop his weapon. For over 90 minutes, officers and even crisis negotiators,
they are trained to shoot empty. It's amazing they just shot him with one bullet, because they're trained to empty their clip into the chest. It's wild. All right, I played you video of a woman that had a samurai. It also turned me on a little bit. She had a samurai sword that she apparently murdered another woman with. That woman was apparently her wife. She's now been arrested.
Authorities have arrested a woman suspected of killing her wife with a samurai sword in San Dimas. Bizarre video from last week shows deputies confronting a woman bloodied and holding the sword in the street. Investigators now say the deadly incident started as an argument. They say the suspect, Wei Chien Wang, attacked and killed her wife, Chen Chen Fei. She then allegedly attacked her mother-in-law, who was able to get the sword and escape and call for help. The mother is recovering. The suspect's been booked on suspicion of murder.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC.
I like Mark Brown. I ain't telling him to shut up.
Authorities have arrested a woman suspected of killing her wife with a samurai sword in San Dimas. Bizarre video from last week shows deputies confronting a woman bloodied and holding the sword in the street. Investigators now...
So that's the mother-in-law? Their stepmom?
Say the deadly incident started as an argument. They say the suspect, Wei Chien Wang, attacked and killed her wife, Chen Chen Fei. She then allegedly attacked her mother-in-law, who was able to get the sword and escape and call for help. The mother is recovering. The suspect's been booked on suspicion of murder.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more.
See, this is one of the reasons why I push for gun control, is because stories with swords are so much more badass. I do a news show, and I think it would be more fun if we lived in a society where people murdered each other with swords instead of guns, or maybe a mace, or a flail, or I don't know. Maybe you build a trebuchet. I don't fucking know. Chrysanthemum, you have a sword. A sword makes everyone just like 10 times more attractive. Oh, goddamn. Let's watch a video of an MTA bus slamming into a Burger King.
News. This was the chaotic scene in Brooklyn earlier this morning when an MTA bus slammed into a fast food restaurant with riders on board.
The bus driver's now hospitalized. CBS News' Elijah Westbrook joins us live from the scene in Kensington with the latest on the story. And Elijah, you just spoke with the owner?
I did. I sure did, Mary and Natalie, and I can tell you that he is certainly thankful that no one was inside that Burger King. You see here behind me when the crash took place. In fact, the restaurant was closed at the time, so talk about perfect timing. Now, if you've been following along since our 5 o'clock live shot, then you watched us show you crews pulling the bus out of the building by a large MTA tow truck. Right now, you can see the extensive damage to the restaurant, leaving a large hole right in front of it. I mean, since then, crews, they moved the bus across the street temporarily before they're expected to then tow it away to an MTA facility for an inspection. Now, here's video of that action taking place we just described. Watch as shards of glass and debris come crashing down as the bus slowly gets dragged away. Again, this is here at the
it can't slow down under, what was it, 55 miles an hour?
Shows the moments when that bus swerved out of control.
Busy in a Burger King bathroom.
Car in the roadway before it makes a wide turn hitting a lamppost and then right into the building, which is out of frame. This all happened around midnight. The bus was in service at the time. Investigators say 2 passengers were on board, a 20-year-old woman and a 60-year-old woman. Both were not injured. However, the bus driver in his 50s was rushed to the hospital where he's recovering in stable condition. We learned he suffered a heart attack seconds before the incident.
Oh, that explains it.
Owner, and let's take a listen to what's next.
I see that it's a lot of structural damage.
I was like, I don't know what mechanically could happen to make the bus do that, but that explains it. He had a heart attack behind the wheel.
The bus moves past a car in the roadway before it makes a wide turn, hitting a lamppost and then right into the building, which is out of frame. This all happened around midnight. The bus was in service at the time, and investigators say 2 passengers were on board, a 20-year-old woman and a 60-year-old woman. Both were not injured. However, the bus driver in his 50s was rushed to the hospital where he's recovering in stable condition. We learned he suffered a heart attack.
A few hours later, and the old man crowd would have been sitting in there drinking their coffee, bitching about Kamala Harris. Lucky that nobody was in the BK at the time.
Seconds before the incident. And again, we just spoke with the franchise owner.
Biden behind the wheel.
What's next?
I see that it's a lot of structural damage, the dining room, and now we are waiting for our structure engineer and the construction people to come. First of all, we want to make sure the building is safe. Thank God they closed 12 o'clock at midnight, so all the crew and customers, everybody was out of the store. Store was closed when this thing happened, so thank God.
Yeah, certainly. And as you heard, despite the circumstances, this certainly could have been a more tragic situation as nobody was inside. Police also say no other cars were struck at the time and there were no pedestrians walking on this side of the street. We do want to mention all of this still remains under investigation. We're live this morning here in Kensington, Brooklyn. I'm Elijah Westbrook, CBS 2 News. Let's send it back.
A hell of a bus ride. Let's go to Washington, D.C., where a teen has been arrested. I wonder if this is a TikTok thing. This sounds like it might be a TikTok thing. Apparently, he was just going around just smacking the shit out of women. I do not endorse that. Matter of fact, I condemn that behavior.
A 15-year-old girl is now under arrest after police tell.
Wait, what? Was not expecting it to be a 15-year-old girl. That kind of changes things. A 15-year-old girl just going around punching the shit out of people. It's kind of funny.
Meanwhile, tonight, a 15-year-old girl is now under arrest.
Is that sexist?
Tell us she went on a violent crime spree, attacking at least 6 women around the district in 24 hours. Now, one of these attacks happened in broad daylight near the FBI building in Northwest Washington.
News 4's Walter Morris spoke with a victim who relived the terrifying moments. Those teenage girls, they laughed at her while they attacked her.
Oh my God.
I'm almost speechless, right? Like, not only did they assault me and try to kick me in the head repetitively, they thought it was funny.
Kate Rios is struggling to find the words.
I'm horrible for laughing about it. I'm so sorry. I've got the giggles. I'm gonna blame it on the pot. Why am I like this?
I'm almost speechless, right? Like, not only did they assault me and try to kick me in the head repetitively, they thought it was funny.
Kate Rios still struggling to find the words, days after coming under the attack in the middle of the afternoon.
I never thought it'd be 12:30 in the afternoon, 2 blocks from the FBI building, and that this would happen to me.
But it did. Rios says she was on her way to a date here at Tiasm on 8th and D Street Northwest Sunday when her weekend took a dangerous turn.
These girls came up to me, but they kind of boxed me in, so I was up against a brick wall, and they said, "Can we use your phone to call our mom?" Instantly, I'm like shaking, and I'm like, sure, but I held my phone closer, and they knew I was scared. Immediately, they said, we ain't gonna do nothing to you. And then immediately I'm down on the ground, like instant.
The teen attackers kicking her on the ground as they tried to steal her bag.
I yelled, "Hey," in the deepest voice I could, and they started walking away. They got into a slowly moving car, laughing.
Witnesses stopping the assault and calling 911, but DC police say that was just the beginning. Investigators say they believe the same girls are behind.
There's a music channel, Torchy.
The district from Sunday to Monday afternoon. In some cases, the suspects using pepper spray on unsuspecting women before pulling their hair and beating them. For example, around 10:30 p.m. Sunday, police say a woman was attacked on the sidewalk just feet from her home here on Rhode Island Avenue Northeast.
They enjoyed it. They
Curiouser says damn kids, because like if they saw you, they'd attack you, wouldn't they? And laugh about it. Why am I getting a kick out of this one? I apologize.
literally enjoyed kicking me in the head.
DC police say they have arrested a 15-year-old and she's now facing several charges for robbery and assault.
Good.
But that isn't giving Rios much comfort.
Teach him a lesson.
Sleep at night. I just keep replaying it. I cannot believe this happened.
I don't like
this is our
teenagers.
nation's capital.
She says she's worried her attackers won't be held accountable because they're minors.
I'm just hoping when it gets to the court level that these girls.
Well, I mean, hold them accountable, but also don't ruin their lives because they are just fucking teenagers. They're stupid fucking teenagers.
Get the appropriate charges, which is assault and attempted robbery.
And police aren't saying much about these incidents, but we do know there was at least one other person involved in the attacks, as well as a possible getaway driver. If you know anything that can help with the investigation, call MPD. In the district, Walter Morris, News 4.
Don't be a narc. Nobody on my channel is a fucking narc. Go to Lake Michigan, where you would think is a good way to escape the heat. Getting out on a boat on the lake. This is the opposite of escaping the heat.
Story, these two men, they were blown into Lake Michigan from the explosion, burned and stunned and 2 miles from shore. And then there was this other boater who came to their rescue. She was the only other boat out there on Lake Michigan. Tanya Logan had a boat full of 13-year-olds on her Tritoon when she saw the smoke coming from the flaming boat. She turned her boat toward the smoke and shouted at passengers to prepare for rescue. The 25-foot powerboat had burned for 90 minutes. Other boaters saw it from shore. They offered their help too. Tanya is experienced and she knew how to keep her passengers safe while aiding the injured. She said that they were able to board her boat, but they were in bad condition.
They were pretty bad.
Wow.
Pretty badly burned. That was the biggest thing that we could see. And we only saw the tops of them because they were floating on like a piece of boat. And we could see they were badly burned. They were almost in shock because the guy's like, just take me to my car. It's on the shore. And I'm like, no, I'm going to take you to an ambulance. But we were trying to give him drinks. My cousin, Cindy, was trying to give him drinks just to, have him drink some water. But they were pretty burned.
And they couldn't tell her much more, but they did mention they had just filled the gas tank on that boat with gasoline, 40 gallons of it. Authorities have not said if they're going to need to go out there and retrieve that boat or just leave it there. The two men are a 55-year-old from Franklin Park, a 46-year-old from Washington State. They are listed in serious condition, but they're alive because of that boater. Reporting live, I'm Joni Lum. Back to you.
Looked like it was basically a piece of wood. Dang. I'm trying to decide if this next story should be in the entertainment news section or if it should be in the crime section. And if I should go ahead and do it before the commercial break as part of the crime section. So a boat explosion isn't really crime now, is it? It's celebrity news. We'll save it for the celebrity section. We're going to talk about P. Diddy, Oprah, Gayle King, the hot Tuah girl challenges Jojo Siwa to a fight. All that and a lot freaking more. So if you're watching on Twitch and you're not subbed, you're going to get your 3-minute commercial break. We're going to get out of the way. I'll get high with everybody who's subbed. You're not going to miss anything, so stick with us and stay around for the rest of the show. I got cocaine sharks. Am I thirsty? Chris, I keep a beverage, because I have like multiple beverages. I started with coffee, and now I'm drinking my tea. I probably do need to stretch. I took a nap before the stream. I didn't mean to, actually. So like I had a taco salad. And like I'm laying back on the couch and I was thinking about like what work I was gonna work on. I was actually thinking like I was gonna do some shit for the show. I was gonna make the ads not playing. I don't know. Did somebody give you a gift sub or something? Because it says ads are playing. I don't know. Fucking Twitch is weird. I remember rolling over and Smokey was on the back of the couch and I petted Smokey. And I was like, I could almost go to sleep like this. And the next thing I know, that was like at 4:30. And the next thing I know, it was 6:30. And I'm like, But hopefully, I've been getting up really, like I was up at like 9 o'clock this morning. So that explains why like I might have been tired in the mid-afternoon. I kind of feel like I bailed on Jesse early last night, but it was like 1 o'clock when I was like, all right, man, I'm done for the night. I'm gonna snack and chill out. But we played for a good 2 hours. I was gonna make the coconut graphic. I'm gonna try to get to that this weekend. I've got a list of things I want to do this weekend. I made the promise. I'm gonna be 5 nights a week again. So starting on Sunday, we're back to 5 nights a week, which in a couple weeks we've got the DNC anyway. August 19th through like 22nd, 23rd, whatever it is the DNC. So I called the RNC coverage raw dogging the RNC. The Democratic coverage is going to be deep dicking the DNC. So we raw dogged the RNC. We're going to deep dick the DNC. I don't know if Twitch is going to let me put that in the title. I don't think it will. But we're going to try. We're going to try. Who likes Tupac? We got any Tupac fans out here? Motherfucker might actually see justice, but apparently it has been crazy in the courtroom with is it Keith? Yeah, deep dick.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Porchy East Coast. I don't know. I definitely have gag reflexes. I ain't taking no dick too far down my throat. God damn it. So is it Keith D? The first time I did this story I called him Keffy D. That's the dude who's on I think it's Keith D. That is the dude who's on trial for the murder of Tupac currently in Las Vegas. It's apparently been a wild scene in the courtroom over the last couple weeks.
Wild allegations tonight in the 27-year-old Tupac Shakur murder case. According to new court documents obtained by News 3, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis accuses mogul Sean Diddy Combs of paying $1 million in a plot to kill Tupac. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. Now the lieutenant, first on scene that night, almost 30 years ago, was speaking out. News 3's Kalia Patterson joining us here with his response to those accusations.
Jim, Marie, Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefe D, says that rapper Sean Diddy Combs was also involved in that murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, the officer who last spoke to Tupac says that just does not add up with the evidence.
How long would you expect, the rest of the world and the criminal justice system to all sit around?
Don't trust the cops.
Former Las Vegas Lieutenant Chris Carroll,
Comradski.
News 3, unfazed by
Thank you for being a freaking follower, Comrade.
murder case. New court documents show that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis accused hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs of paying $1 million for the killing of the rap icon Tupac Shakur. According to the documents, Davis claims Combs paid Eric Von Martin the money.
I just don't see it.
Oh, okay, so here's the thing. I've also heard that Diddy was behind the murder of Biggie. That Diddy was stabbing Biggie in the back. Like, holy shit.
Jim, Marie, Dwayne Davis, also known as Keefe D, says that rapper Sean Diddy Combs was also involved in that murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, the officer who last spoke to Tupac says that just does not add up with the evidence.
How long would you expect, the rest of the world and the criminal justice system to all sit around and do nothing?
Former Las Vegas Lieutenant Chris Carroll sits down with News 3, unfazed by new court discoveries in the Tupac Shakur murder case. New court documents show that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis accused hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs of paying $1 million for the killing of the rap icon Tupac Shakur. According to the documents, Davis claims Combs paid Eric Von Martin the money.
I just don't see any proof of it. I don't see it leading anywhere other than the real story, which is that the murder took place with Orlando Anderson.
Davis also claims Combs offered to set up a phone call with Terrence Brown. Brown was the driver of the car that drove by with bullets flying out to Shakur and Suge Knight on the Las Vegas Strip September 7th, 1996.
There's really not even a motive there. The whole East Coast, West Coast thing. It was a thing in the 90s, but it certainly was no reason to put $1 million hit on somebody. I think the fact to say that Diddy is part of it, Diddy paid $1 million, I think it just makes for a good story.
Davis is also having trouble getting his bond paid. A friend of Davis's, another music executive, tried to pay it, but the judge denied the payment because she didn't know where the money came from. Prosecutors argued if Davis is set free on bail, he would sell his life story involving Tupac as income while he was on trial. Davis's attorney said that's not legal.
In regards to any restrictions that money is for his life story, again, as Your Honor just noted,
he's basically admitted to it on camera.
At this point, since he's not convicted, you cannot tell Mr. Davis he cannot receive those monies. He can receive any monies in regards to this crime until he's convicted.
Carroll says the story is cut and dry and should be laid to rest.
Will it bring closure to the case? No. Regardless of whether he's found guilty or not guilty, the conspiracies will still continue. And unfortunately, I don't think it's really going to change anybody's mind much, regardless of what happens.
The judge over this case will make a decision on Davis's bail this week. Live in studio, Kalia Patterson, News 3.
I'm totally willing to believe that Diddy put a hit out on Tupac, but that's just because I really don't like P. Diddy. Never liked Diddy. Totally, that's another one. Elon Musk called it. Never liked that motherfucker. P. Diddy called it. Never liked that motherfucker. You know who else I've always been suspicious of? Fucking Oprah. Gotta let the cat get into position because he likes to hit the microphone with his ass. It appears for some reason Oprah wants to stay in the closet. Unknown force. What's going on, my friend?
Some of you have navigated these very public lives, but you obviously have a piece of privacy in your lives too, and you stayed true to this friendship. How have you navigated keeping who you are and being a public figure? Is this hard for you or easy?
No, I'm just trying to think how we navigated.
I was going to say, what if we not shared?
Okay,
I mean, so you feel
thinking,
comfortable just sharing everything?
Pretty much everything, and I would have to say it wasn't even a matter of navigation.
Yes.
You know, for years people used to say we were gay or that we were, but and listen, we were up against that for forever.
No,
and people still
say that. And I used to say to Oprah, you got to do a show on this because it's hard enough for me to get a date on Saturday night with people thinking we're gay.
Yeah.
Because if we were gay, I would tell you.
Because one of the things I started to think was maybe people aren't accustomed to seeing women with this kind of truth bond, meaning
No, ma'am. I am totally accustomed to seeing women who are older and single. Oh, shit. Also, I've seen it the other way because curious or relatable. Fair enough. Yeah, who cares? She says she would come out and also, like, both of them looking great for their age.
The reason why I think our friendship has worked is because Gail is happier, not happy, but happier for me, for any kind of success or victory or challenge I get through.
I feel like this may be wrong of me to say, but I feel like this woman probably has really good gaydar. Just saying.
You know, for years, people used to say we were gay or that we were, but and listen, we were up against that for forever.
No,
and people still
say that. And I used to say to Oprah, you got to do a show on this because it's hard enough for me to get a date on Saturday night with people thinking we're gay.
Yeah.
Because if we were gay, we would tell you.
Because one of the things I started to think was maybe people aren't accustomed to seeing women with this kind of truth bond, meaning the reason why I think our friendship has worked is because Gail is happier, not happy, but happier for me, for any kind of success or victory or challenge I get through than I am for myself. And I feel as happy as she does. I can't be happier than she. You cannot, you know.
Can't surpass Gail.
Cannot surpass
You can't
Gail.
out-happy me,
You
Melinda.
cannot out-happy her. So-
I just assumed everybody had a really good friend. But
But
I know
everybody
that
does
that's not
not.
true.
Everybody does not.
I just assume every woman, maybe not for men, but I just assume every woman had at least one.
I've got like 3 friends. Is there just one? Do you have to limit yourself to one? I haven't given the Hawk Tuah girl that much attention. But when she starts calling out somebody for a fight, that's when I'm kind of perking up. Apparently, she made an appearance at a country music festival and nobody gave a shit. But now she's throwing down challenges to like Jojo Siwa. She could use a whooping, to be honest.
University of Northern Alabama, but she had to drop out to pay the bills and take care of my grandma.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk to and spit on that thing. You get me?
I'm trying to see what that means.
And then she went viral, so she made some cash. But Granny keeps asking her what Hawk Tuah means. So we wrote this song for Haley's grandma to explain myself to the elderly.
That's funny.
The night of it all, the Hawk Tuah video. Where were you? What did it happen? Were you on Nashville? Like on Broadway?
I was in Nashville.
Okay, and you were just out drinking, having a good night.
Hawk Tuah means being selfless. Hawk Tuah means you care. Hawk Tuah is another word for hard work, like rolling up your sleeves and tying back your hair. And then next thing I know, there's a microphone in my face, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna conversate with him.
But you looked like so natural, like you weren't scared, you just went right up to it?
I could talk to a brick wall if you really let me. Hawk Tuah means love and affection. Hawk Tuah means...
We're in a recession, Grandma. Stop asking so many questions.
Oh, you gotta give him that Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing. You get me?
Is there anybody you'd be down to fight?
It's probably gonna be Jojo Siwa.
Let's go! That's what I'm talking about. We got a Karate Combat event in Nashville, July 25th, this Thursday. I want you out there.
Hawk Tuah and spit on that thing. You get me?
That's tonight. That is tonight. Did the Jojo Siwa event happen? Can we watch the karate event? I'm not seeing anything about it. I would totally watch Hawk Tuah girl fight Jojo Siwa. Oh, here's the things I find funny about the whole situation is that the TikTokers that made the video feel like they didn't get anything out of it. Like they just saw like a little bump in their followers and nothing else. Like she got all the fame. That's funny to me. What would I enjoy? The Hawk Tuah?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I want to watch her fucking fight Jojo Siwa. I wish I didn't know who Jojo Siwa was, but like Sparkles told me who she was. I think the first story we did where I learned who she was, where there was some petition to rename the Ronald Reagan Airport the Jojo Siwa Airport. She was still like, you know, underage. She was like 16 or something at the time. Oh God, Torchy. You don't know who Jojo Siwa is? She invented gay pop. She was a bad girl. Apparently she was on I Had to Go Down a Rabbit Hole because she said some stupid shit. She was on Dance Moms or Teen Dance or some shit like that, right? And she was like a dance kid. And she became like a fucking viral sensation on YouTube. But she has like fucked up every move of her career since turning 18. So that's why I've been fascinated by it. And like she came out and said she invented gay pop. And like she's like trying to convince everybody that she's, you know, like doing this whole shift in her persona, but it was just going from being rainbow glitter to being black glitter. Because she was like all glitter and rainbows. That was her brand. she's the next Britney Spears shaves her head, crumbles under the pressure, fucking Lindsay Lohan, Amanda Bynes. I don't like it, but I'm fascinated by it. She's just like, her video flopped. She is no Judy Garland, that's for fucking sure. But yeah, she released like her first song as like her new persona, and it flopped hard, and like the dance got mocked and shit. She's 21 years old, born in 2003. I love Gen Z. So now everybody also knows who Jojo Siwa is. Sorry we had to take that detour from cocaine sharks. That was the next thing that we were going to do. Hold on, do we not have video? Let me find video. Cocaine sharks. I want to see said cocaine sharks. Sparkles gives Jojo Siwa Airport a 10 out of a 10.
Guys, we're polluting our environment, right? This is a man-made product that's being put out into the ocean. It's something that they may or may not be able to metabolize, and we don't know the ultimate long-term effects of this. It's not just a problem in the ocean.
It might catch up here in a second.
In our riverways with freshwater fish and other fish in the bays. And so ultimately,
cocaine has to be processed. Coca is naturally occurring. Cocaine is not. Quesadilla, good evening.
Our environment, right? This is a man-made product that's being put out into the ocean. It's something that they may or may not be able to metabolize, and we don't know the ultimate long-term effects of this. It's not just a problem in the ocean. We also see this in our riverways with freshwater fish and other fish in the bays.
The sharks get a toot.
Ultimately, if someone were to harvest one of these sharks that has
I was on crack.
cocaine in its system, we could potentially be re-ingesting. So anything a shark is eating is uptake into its muscle tissue. I am not aware of anybody that has tested, or any shark that has tested positive in Texas. That doesn't mean it couldn't happen. A couple years ago, they did detect a shark off of Florida that had eaten a brick of cocaine. And with the drug running that does happen off the Texas coast, it is very possible that this could happen. Like I said, I'm not currently aware of any shark that has already tested positive. So it's a pollutant in their habitat, right? And like I said, long term, we don't know how that's going to affect them, much less if we were to re-ingest it from them. We don't know if it makes them more aggressive. We don't know if
I would assume
cocaine or any kind of pollutant in the water column could cause irritants in their gills so they can no longer breathe. I mean, there's a lot of things that could come into play here. But if we want to have healthy ecosystems, not only do we need to remove the pollutants and stop polluting our environment, but we also need sharks in our environment. So we're potentially damaging down the food web, not just from the pollutant, but causing an imbalance in our fisheries by having these sharks potentially be removed. For me personally, I feel very sad to see that it has become such an issue, especially in our Gulf waters.
Sharks already act crazy.
Pollutants in freshwater environments for my master's, looking at EPA water quality criteria, along with like heavy metals and SDS, which is what causes your soap to foam. So it's found in absolutely everything. And it's amazing the minuscule amount you need to affect the environment and to affect individual organisms. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm curious to see, where the research goes from this. It's something that we should probably start looking at in Texas as well. We do a lot of shark research currently, all the way from just what species happen in our waters seasonally to movement patterns to we actually do look at toxicology. We look at, are there PAHs? Are there heavy metals?
How do we know she's not qualified? She's a Texas conservationist. A study found that 12 out of 13 sharks tested positive for cocaine off of Brazil's coast. Oh, it's for benzoyl-glucanine, a leading ingredient for cocaine. Published in Science Direct. We have video of the sharks. That's what I want.
Now let's talk about something that could be Hollywood's next big hit. Cocaine sharks.
Oh, did she say it? I'm sorry, Chris.
But this is real. And swimming near the coast of Brazil. 13 sharks there have tested positive for cocaine. It's the first such study and the results are quite dramatic. Now the question is, how did cocaine enter the bodies of sharks? Experts have a few theories, but...
Oh, come on. That one's easy.
Humans. Our next report explains.
They're going down and partying with the sharks.
It's a plot twist that would make Hollywood screenwriters blush. Sharks off the coast of Brazil have tested positive for cocaine. Yes, you heard that right. Cocaine.
Yes, you heard that right.
Predators have taken a dive into the drug trade. Not as smugglers or victims of cartels, but as unwitting participants. It started when marine biologists tested 13 Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks. They were taken from the shores near Rio de Janeiro. What they find was literally jaw-dropping. High levels of cocaine were detected in all 13 sharks, especially in their muscles and livers. The concentration was a staggering 100 times higher than previously reported in other marine creatures. So what explains this? Does the world's apex predator have an addiction problem? Do they need rehab with motivational posters saying, "Just keep swimming"?
Yes!
Or is it something more? Now, experts don't know for sure yet, but they believe sharks...
Why are they being sarcastic the entire time? Does it need rehab with motivational posters? I'm dying over here. I'm dying.
So what explains this? Does the world's apex predator have an addiction problem? Do they need rehab with motivational posters saying, "Just keep swimming"? Or is it something more?
Get it? Because they're sharks.
Don't know for sure yet, but they believe sharks are unwilling participants in Brazil's drug trade. One theory says the cocaine has made its way to the waters via illegal drug labs, or even the excrement of drug users. Other theories say cocaine lost or dumped by traffickers at sea could be the culprit. Either way, the sharks are consuming it, which could be potentially worrying. All the females in the study were pregnant, but it's yet to be seen how it will affect the females.
Oh God, they're having crack babies!
Scientists haven't noticed anything strange yet, but they believe it's affecting their eyesight. This isn't the first time compounds were found in ocean water. Last year, benzoyl-glucanine was detected.
That shark looks dumb. He looked very derpy. Oh. I'm sorry. I shouldn't make fun of the Down syndrome shark.
Isn't the first time drug compounds were found in ocean water. Last year, benzoyl-glucanine was detected in samples taken off the coast of the UK. It's a byproduct of cocaine metabolism. Other sea creatures like crabs, shrimp and oysters have had traces of cocaine, amphetamines and MDMA in their systems. So it turns out that the ocean is becoming the world's largest drug den. But it's also a surreal reminder
Let's go swimming.
Human actions have far-reaching impacts, even on creatures we don't think we affect. These sharks are caught in a global environmental crisis. So next time...
Does Narcan work for... This is a great question. Does Narcan work for uppers? Because, like, you know, Narcan has become prevalent because of ODs on... Yeah, no. Curiouser says no. It's used for opioids, heroin, shit like that.
If you're enjoying a beach holiday in Brazil, don't worry about the sharks. They're probably more interested in their next fix than in you.
Don't worry about their next fix. The sharks are probably more worried about their next fix than you. Great advice. What fucking reporting? Best day of her life because she was on the troll patrol. Where we play the most absurd news, politics, and current events on the internet. Like this fucking bear breaking into this couple's backyard.
A family in Evergreen woken up on Monday night because of noise in their backyard, right by their fence.
The fence ended up pretty damaged, but the culprit's identity wasn't a surprise to the homeowners.
Who broke the fence?
We are both friends.
Jessica Smith says it was a huge bear that caused that damage. She says the bear was trying to reach her trash can in the backyard. Despite tearing up the fence, it couldn't actually get through the gate, so it jumped over and rifled through the trash, eating cake and watermelon for about 10 minutes before bolting. Smith says it wasn't the first time a bear has come to visit.
You know, we're kind of used to a lot of wildlife up here. So, you know, he attacks, like I said, like a few times a week. So it wasn't too scary. It was kind of cool just to see him. And he was just like a big giant bear. And they don't usually ever break into homes or houses or anything. And luckily our animal was inside, so we weren't too concerned.
She's pretty chill about it. Smith says her husband fixed that fence last night, and she won't be leaving any trash out in the backyard anymore.
So, bear broke through a fence. That is not your animal video for the day. Don't worry. We have been keeping up with the adventures of Poncho and Macho. Stone Cold Steve Austin has cats, and I am here for their adventures.
All right, little Macho, it's bedtime. Come here, buddy. You are a precious kitty cat. Home with your pawpaw. Punchy. Punchy knows it's bedtime. A little much. Oh, Punchy. No, you stay up there. It's bedtime. Macho.
Kind of early for bedtime.
Hey, what's up, Steve? I'm out here closing up a tack room. And so we keep both these cats inside the tack room, especially Macho. He's not allowed out of the horse barn yet because he's just way too small. Something will pick him off. Poncho knows the system. He's roams free during the daytime, but him and Macho are such good buddies. He likes to hang with him. But Poncho can go all over the property. Lefty, we lost two lefties, so you got to be careful out here with your cats.
Yes, apparently Stone Cold is one of those crazy cat ladies. Cats Against J.D. Vance. Paid for by Childless Cat Ladies of America.
And Macho, hopefully he's savvy enough that he'll pick up. Hey man, there's danger out there, so you got to be careful. So I'm putting him up, and man, right now I was thinking,
I would love to see Stone Cold Steve Austin give JD Vance a stunner.
About this, I'm not trying to turn my page into a cat channel. But you know what talent you got. And I got a lot of talent here. So Poncho, I got Poncho figured in as my world champion. And look at that. So Poncho as my world champion, and little Macho, where are you, buddy? There you are. He just attacked me. So I got little Macho as my intercontinental. I have Macho as my intercontinental champion. Now you know that IC belt, that was more of a worker's belt, as prestigious as it was. That IC title was kind of a worker's belt.
It's not far off that Stone Cold could give the stunner to JD Vance, because let me tell you, once upon a time, he gave the stunner to Donald Trump. Can we see a stunner on the vice presidential candidate?
And anyway, we know how green Macho is. He's not a great worker yet, but we're just trying to build him. We're going to make Macho with this belt. Pretty soon, Macho will make that belt, and it'll be synergy, and it's win-win. So there's my world champion.
Win-win.
Booking him on top. No one beats Poncho. He's going to go undefeated for a long.
I don't know. I'll put Smokey up against him.
While he's learning the ropes, he might end up doing a favor here or there, but we just got to keep this little bastard alive. Poncho can't lose any more siblings or friends out here, and I tell you what, they're dropping like flies. So we got to keep Macho, our prestigious Intercontinental Champion, up and running. That's enough bullshit. I'm out. Hang on.
Let's look at the cats a little more. Looks like we got enough cats there.
Hey, what's up, Steve? I'm out here closing up the tack room. And so we keep both these cats inside the tack room.
If you're watching on Twitch,
he's not allowed out of the horse.
You are heading over to Rathbone.
We'll pick him off.
We're back to 5 nights a week starting on Sunday. Go ahead,
daytime,
light one up, tip one back.
Buddies.
It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack.
Poncho can go.
I'm JustinFREAKIN. We will see you Sunday night.
So you got to be
on the Troll Patrol live.
Macho, hopefully he said.